Hello, welcome to the final day of the Equestrian Reset. This is day 10. I hope you've enjoyed all of these little workouts I put on for you along with the pole exercises. If you have, please let me know. I do enjoy reading your comments and looking how you've progressed. So let's get cracking with the final day. Again, like all of these workouts, you don't need any props. If you've got a mat, that's great. If not, the carpet is fine. So we're going to start in our tabletop pose and we're going to work through our cat and cow. So we're going to put our palms below our shoulders, our wrists below our shoulders and our knees below our hips. Make sure the weight is equally distributed throughout the whole of your hand, not just pressed down for your wrists. And make sure it's throughout the whole of your fingertips. Keep your knees underneath your hips. And then we're going to drop the belly and we're going to lift the gaze. The tailbone goes up. And on the exhale, we're going to round and contract. The chin is going to go towards the chest. So this one's really good for correcting an unstraight seat whilst in the saddle. So if you have a hollow seat, this is really good for helping correct that. It's also really good for learning how to use your back aids whilst doing your downwards transitions. That's great. And then in your next pose, I want you just to turn your fingertips so they're facing towards your body. If it is enough for you just to face them out to the side, you can do it like that. Or if you can, you're going to bring them all the way back so your fingertips point towards you. And then you're just going to do your last, dropping the belly, lifting the gaze, and then rounding and contracting. This is really good just for your wrist flexibility. And then we point our palms, our fingertips forward to the top of the mat again. And we're just going to lift up with our right arm. We're going to stretch it up towards the sky. Follow it with your gaze if you can. And then we're just going to thread it through, resting your ear down towards the mat. With your left hand, if you can, you're going to place it up and overhead. That's it. So we're just inviting a couple of little stretches here. Really good. This one for turns and circles whilst on the horse, just loosening up those shoulders. So our shoulders can start to influence the horse. Remember, the horse mirrors the rider. So if your right shoulder goes back, your horse's right shoulder goes back. So we want to make sure that if we are going to move our right shoulder, one, that we can do it, and two, that we can do it with control. So we're not accidentally giving our horse aids without wanting to. And then we're going to lift back up with that left hand and then press up with our right arm back up to the sky. Should be able to stretch a little bit further that time. And then we're just going to repeat that on the other side. So our left arm rises, we follow it with our gaze. And then we thread it through. Your ear goes to the mat and your right arm goes up and overhead. Try to keep your hips nice and level above your knees. Watch they don't suddenly collapse to the right hand side. So stay strong for your core. Good. Start to bring that right hand in and then press up, pressing up high, so you can get a little bit further and then relax it back down. Your palms are going to go in front of your shoulders, your toes are going to tuck up and under, and we're going to meet in our downward facing dog. Just in your own time, we're just using this to transition into a standing position. So just press down through both of those heels, just working on that nice long leg, low heel, just stretching the back of that leg to allow us to be able to drop our heel down whilst in the saddle. And then we're going to start to walk forwards to the top of the mat. And then we slowly start to rise, keeping your knees bent. Super. Now we're just going to stand really tall. And then we're just going to widen our feet because we're going to be doing a little bit of a squat here. So if you lack a little bit of flexibility, you can keep your heels slightly up off the ground, but we really are trying to push down into it. So if you feel you're going to lack a little bit of flexibility in this, widen your feet a bit more. So we're just going to inhale and our arms are going to rise. And on the exhale, we're going to fold forward, keeping our legs nice and straight. Then we're just going to start to sink our hips down. Our palms are going to go to our heart. And we're just going to go into our squat position. And then we're going to start to rise back up with our hips. Our fingertips go to the ground. We're in our forward fold. And then we're going to exhale and we're going to drop to our squat. Your elbows compress, your knees open. And then we're going to start to stand up, keeping the forward folds, and then we're just going to sink back into our squat. So you're just going to work through these. That's it. So just seeing what's comfortable for you. Super. If you are struggling with this one and you want to try and get a little bit deeper in your squat, you can have a block or have some towels and place them underneath your seat. So as you start to lower down, if you lack a little bit of stability, we can have our towel underneath us to sit on. That's it. Just a couple more. You should start to feel a little bit easier as you go. Use those elbows to press your knees open and keep your heart forward when you're in the squat. There. Super. And then we'll just do one more. And then we start to stand up, start to roll up, inch by inch, up, and we start to stand. And then we're just going to turn so we're facing the top of the mat. We are going to inhale and our arms are going to rise. We're going to exhale, we're going to plant our palms to the mat. And then we can either step or jump back into our plank pose. So you can jump with your feet, so you're in your plank pose. And then you're going to come forward into your pigeon pose. So your right knee is going to go behind your right wrist and your ankle is going to go behind your left wrist. So step it forward and through. And then lower those hips down towards the mat. Your left foot can point out behind you, sinking those hips nice down and deep and keeping your hips straight. Your heart remains forward. And then we're going to step back into our plank pose. So we hold the plank. And then we're just going to step forward into our pigeon pose with the left leg. So our left knee goes behind our left wrist and our left ankle goes behind our right wrist. Keep that right leg out long, heart is forward, sink those hips down. Super. And then we go back to our plank pose and we're going to repeat that again. So I'm going to step forward with our right leg and then we are going to relax those hips down. And this time, if you want to, you can either stay up tall or you can fold forward. That's it, relax those hips, sinking them down towards the mat. This is really good for opening up your hips, opening up your seat, allowing you to have a deep seat so you can work. You can ride your horse with freedom with the seat not restricting its wave movement. And then start to rise back up. We'll go back to our plank. That's it. And then we'll bring our left leg forward. And we'll just repeat the same thing. Right leg goes out behind you. First of all, sink those hips down. Make sure your seat is nice and square and straight. And then if you want to, you can relax down further. So as you do this, see if you've got one hip which feels a little bit more flexible than the other. And see if that relates to when you're riding your horse. And then we'll slowly start to come back up out of this. We'll meet in our plank pose again. And then we'll press those hips up and we'll go into our downward facing dog. So from this downward facing dog, we're then going to go back forwards into our plank. And then we're going to lift up with those hips again. And you're going to tap your right hand to your left leg. And then we go back into our plank. And then we press the hips back up. And then we're going to put our left hand onto our right leg. And then forward into your plank. And then we repeat. So just keep working through this at your own time. So your leg tapping into plank. Leg tap. Back to plank. Leg tap. Back to plank. Leg tap. Back to plank. Keep your gaze forward. Keep your core strong. Leg tap. Back to plank. Leg tap. Back to plank. Last one. Leg tap. Back to plank. And then you can start to lower down, keeping your elbows in. You can press up into your cobra. Pressing those hips down towards the ground. Up, forward of your heart. and then we're going to roll over onto our backs. That's it. So slowly, with control, just get into this position. So we're going to lower down, vertebrae by vertebrae, onto the mat. And we're just going to extend our legs nice and long. Just to make sure I'm on the mat. Make sure you're nice, square and center on your mat. And then what we are going to do is we're going to keep your back nice and flat to the ground. Make sure we don't have that hollow or that gap. And then we're just going to lift our right knee into our chest. We're going to hug it in. And then we're going to extend it back out. And we're going to swap. We hug our left knee in. And then we extend it out. And then we swap. So we're just going to slowly work through these, extending one leg, hugging the other. So we're working a little bit on our core and a little bit on our hip mobility. Just to make this one a little bit harder, we can lift up, imagining we've got that apple in between our chin and our chest. And we can lift up our head, our neck, and our shoulders. So ready, start to lift them up, keep the back flat. And then just hugging in with one leg, straightening the other. Try not to press that belly button out, look up. And then imagine now pressing that knee towards your nose. So as you're coming up, your knee is towards your nose. That's it, keep going. Super. We're not here for too much longer. Just remember the previous 9 days that you've done. Excellent. Last couple. And then relax it back down. Really good. From this position, just hug both knees in towards your chest. Grab a hold of your big toes with your fingers. Lift your feet up. So we are in our happy baby pose. And this is our final pose of today and the final pose of the Equestrian Reset. So you can stay here for a little bit longer if you want to, but if not, cross at the ankles. And that is us for today. And that is it for the Equestrian Reset. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you feel a little bit more mobile, a little bit stronger. You can start to feel your core and then you're starting to take that forward onto your horse. So if you have enjoyed this, please watch out for any future challenges and future workouts that I do. So please like, subscribe and comment below. Bye.